didn't make any shots, and then the way you started that third quarter, it looked like you kind of, showed up in an adverse moment and responded. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the second quarter was an unfortunate one. We just got, I thought, stagnant. We turned the ball over quite a bit. We had several possessions in a row. I think we had 3 straight turnovers. I think we had 6 turnovers for the quarter. And we just kind of got out of rhythm, out of flow. We just were not playing very well. I thought in the first quarter and the third quarter we were fine, and then even in the fourth we were okay. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but the turnovers were probably a little bit too high, and we did have some plays in that second quarter that, like I said, I felt like broke our momentum in the game a little bit.
You mentioned Kobe White's charges before the game. He took a couple more tonight, and Alex was on the floor as much as he usually is. Yeah. Defensively, what did you see from you guys?
Yeah, I thought they're hard to guard just because I thought with Williams being out, they would probably go to a little bit more of that lineup with Bridges and Washington at the 4 and the 5, and obviously they're skilled bigs. They can put it on the floor, they can shoot threes, they create closeout situations. They're hard to guard when you're closing to them. So I thought we helped. They didn't shoot it particularly well either, from behind the line. I'll go take a look at the film. Some of them I know were open that they just didn't knock down, and some of them, I thought we did a good job contesting. But with Williams being out, and they played Richards, some, but when they were a little bit small, that certainly made it a lot more difficult to guard. And when those 5 guys are out there, the rest of their players with those 2 guys, everybody puts the ball on the floor and can create and shoot, and they're good off the dribble, so it's hard.
You talked earlier about Kobe being a playmaker too, that being a priority for you, not just on the score tonight. You kind of got both, like Casey mentioned, the charges and also just those 2 back-to-back shooting plays in the third quarter. Don't have them in front of me, but to get both of that from him tonight, what?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I was trying to maybe say before the game with him is he's really more concerned. Besides, the scoring is important, and we need that from him, but there's going to be nights that he's not going to score, and he's not going to shoot the ball well. I didn't think he particularly had a great shooting night overall, compared to, I think, what we've all seen him do, and that's fine. But, I thought he really impacted the game, to your point, the charges, the extra passes, what he did defensively, the way he's working. I think he's really focusing on, almost being locked in on each possession instead of worrying about, am I missing or making shots? And I think that's a lot of growth, for him for where he was 3 years ago. And not to say they didn't care about those things, but I think he always felt like he needed to influence the game through its scoring. And he can do that. Certainly he did it there with those shots. He gave us a little bit of breathing room with a couple of plays he made closing that quarter there. But again, he's doing a lot of different things on both ends of the floor, and I think it's a real credit to him in the work he's put in and the mentality he has and how important winning is to him.
He said on the court post-game that this team has had the ability to hold on in these last three wins, but what is it that you're seeing late that's putting them in that position where they have to hold on?
Well, I mean, we did have a little bit of a breathing room there when we got up 12. I mean, they cut the lead down. It was down to 10 or 8, and we were able to get some free throws. DeMar made a lot of free throws coming down the stretch. They were trapping a little bit. We made some plays. It wasn't necessarily coming down to the wire like it did, against Milwaukee, even New Orleans a little bit. But we got to get stops, and we got to try to generate good shots, really. That's what you're trying to do, and share the ball. And I think that, to Casey's point earlier, I thought part of the reason we didn't have a great second quarter is I thought we got slow again. We didn't play with any thrust, and we were too easy to guard. And I thought starting the third we were much better. But, listen, DeMar's a great closer. Vooch is a really good passer, and he gives you a lot of skill up there to be able to make plays from the elbows. Kobe's a guy that's made big shots throughout his career. So, as long as we're screening and executing and spacing correctly, you're going to kind of live with whatever the result may be on the possession. Certainly want the ball to go in the basket, but, it's not going to happen all the time.
I wanted to just ask you a little bit about that stretch after you had the slow close of the second quarter. When you came out in the third, Vucevic was kind of crucial in that stretch, passing the ball, shooting. Were you trying to get, because of their size situation, you were trying to get him more involved then?
I thought we just got a little bit slow, Sam, and I thought, they were really aggressive in pick and roll. I thought that stretch that we had, the turnovers, they were really directing the ball and, getting us into some really tough spots where we were kind of pinned up against the sidelines, down the corners.
In the start of the third quarter.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I went to him in terms of trying to get him involved where we could throw the ball to him, some in the post and or at the elbows, where we could kind of move around him a little bit just to relieve some of the pressure, in pick and roll. And, he's always going to make the right pass. And the one thing about him is, like, when you go to him or get the ball to him, he's not always thinking about scoring first. He's always thinking about passing. So as long as we're doing a good job moving around him, I think we can certainly generate shots. And I thought the way we came out in the third, we had really, really good pace on their misses. And even when we got into the half court, I thought Vooch did a good job kind of distributing. We got Alex on a back cut. Some good things happened from there.
That's kind of that thing that's sort of been talked about in general this season, maybe playing through Vucevic more. Is it something like, with Zach out and all, you think, maybe now you're feeling to do a little more of that?
I think when the ball needs, like, listen, when DeMar's got it or Zach's got it, even Kobe has it, they're going to do it off the dribble for the most part, right, the guards, whereas I think Vooch can do it a lot off the pass. A lot of times when he's down on a low post, yes, he's going to pick and choose his opportunities to go one-on-one and score, but when they're not there, he's going to move the ball. And then what happens is when they're a little bit smaller and they start sending two players down to him, he's such a willing passer that we create closeouts on the perimeter. So I do think at times when we do get stagnant sometimes, off the bounce, we've got to go to him and move and cut more around him. And I think we've done that more this year. Certainly it was an emphasis, I think, going into the third.
Billy, with your younger guys, what do you want them to get from this experience without Zach, these minutes that they're playing without Zach? Do you feel like they're getting it, they're getting more comfortable in these minutes without him? Is there anything that you want them to take away from this?
Yeah, I'm trying to get them some minutes and some experience. Sometimes it's hard to sit there and, play a guy 15 or 18 minutes, with the way our roster is right now as young players.
It's Julian and Dalen, but Kobe, Pat.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's huge for all those guys, but I think that's one of the things, for our team is we kind of need everybody, and Vooch gets a lot of attention. Zach gets a lot of attention. So does DeMar. But when we can kind of move the ball, those guys have got to have the confidence and the belief that they can make the next play. And I think this situation where they've been kind of thrusted into that, it's been good for them. I think it's been good for their development. I think it's helped them.
Billy, I have one more.
Sure.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
About Alex, you've been, in this game you brought him in and out a lot. Was that because of that? You were talking before about these long stretches. You can't leave him in for 12 straight minutes. Is that a change now?
Yeah, just based on my conversation with him. I think that when he came back, from dealing with his foot a few games ago, I started him. And he played 6 minutes, and then I sat him all the way to 6 minutes at the end. And he had a really, to his standard, what he would consider a poor stretch closing the half. And he and I talked the next day, and he just said it was hard for him to sit that long and try to get back in at the end of the quarter where the game's kind of got a rhythm. So I probably played him a few extra minutes than I wanted to tonight personally. I like to have gotten it down maybe a little bit below that where he was at, not much, but a little bit more. But I think if we can start him and play him about 4.5, 5, somewhere in there, take him out quicker, and then bring him back at the end of the first quarter, or let him play to 10 minutes in the second, then let him rest and let him bring him back to close. So trying to get him 3 stints really, but shorter stints where he can kind of stay into the game where it's not 6 or 7 minutes rest for 10 or 11, 12, play again. It's too much. So it was just good feedback for me from him, and I just certainly, we want him out there. But that stretch of 12 minutes, I think, was just too long, and I agreed with him on it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.